My wife's gonna kill me. I just bought this car 2 days ago. I've got young kids. I'm not coming home to let you know. When quarantine happened, I would put 6,000 miles on my Aston Martin Vantage, and I think that I just wanted an excuse to buy a car. So I was like, you know what? I'm putting miles on the Vantage. Why don't I get a new G63, which is a good daily driver? So I shopped around the Nashville area. There was a used one for sale at like 2,000 miles. I want to say it was in like the 170 to 180,000 range. Went and test drove it, put a deposit on it. On my way there, my friend Jeremy Sweeney, who owns a .2 3RS, was like, Chandler, why don't we switch cars on the way to test drive this car? Like, you know, I'll drive yours, you drive mine. And he's been trying to get me in Porsche for a long time. So I get on the freeway and it hits 9,000 RPM and I'm like, this thing's a lot of fun. And we get to the test drive, again the G63, and all I can think about is the 3RS. So I go back to the office and I start rethinking. I was like, you know what, if I'm gonna spend 170, 180, whatever, I might as well just get a 3RS. You know, I can drive that, I can drive the Vantage. I'm not putting, you know, too many miles on one car. So he starts sending me listings. And ironically, that morning, before we even got the test drive, we got lunch before, and him and his 12-year-old son always get Matchbox cars. And he gave me a purple 3RS. And I didn't think anything of it at all. And he didn't either, honestly. They just got me a Matchbox car. And this is before I drove his car, so he didn't even know that I was seriously considering one, because I wasn't. So I get back to the office, he's sending me listings. There's a lava orange .1 3RS for sale at my local dealership. And he was like, no, that's a launch color. You don't want a lava orange. Let me find you a better spec. So he sent me this ultraviolet one that was in South Carolina at Greenville Porsche, I believe. I ended up flying there 2 days later, bought the car. Didn't even realize that he'd bought me a Matchbox version of that car not even a week prior, until I got back to my office and I look at it and I was like, oh my gosh, I just bought the car you gave me Matchbox for. So it turns out that a couple of my buddies were driving from New York to do the Tail of the Dragon. So Jeremy and I was like, Jeremy, I'm gonna go do the Dragon in the RS to get it broken in. Do you wanna come with me? So he's like, sure. So I bought the car on Wednesday, drove it back from Greenville to Nashville. And then Friday morning, we departed to East Tennessee. And on the way there, he has a .2, and of course, I ended up buying this ultraviolet .1 3RS. And we were going side by side, and this is the moment I knew this car was going to get me in trouble. We were driving late in the night to East Tennessee, and we were going to do some rolls, and we went to about 30, and you know, he has 40 more horsepower, 20 more horsepower stock. And as we slow down and I downshift, I get lit up, and I was like, oh man, we're about to get, taken over, arrested for drag racing. 5 seconds later, turns his lights off and gets off. And so that was kind of like my humbling moment where I was like, you know what, let me just take it easy. We're on streets, public streets. So we get to the Dragon and we do stay at a local motel there and we spend the night, and the next morning we depart with about 30 other supercars, 3RSs, GT3s, a couple Huracans, etc. The whole day we're just completely ripping. And all these guys from New York, they're really good drivers and they're really fast drivers, which is kind of like how we drive our cars as well. And we come off the Dragon doing a high rate of speed, upwards of 150 miles an hour on this little 4-lane highway. And we're splitting lanes, going down the center turn lane. And all of a sudden we see two Chargers come over the hill. And they didn't have their lights on, but they were moving quickly and they were kind of in formation, so to speak. And so we all kept going the high rate of speed until we see the blue lights behind us, and then we all immediately went, we all have walkie-talkies, and we're like, let's go speed limit and just blend in with traffic and just see what happens. I was in the middle of the group, and I was like, if I get to the front, they have to pass a lot of cars to get to me. So I get towards the front of the group, and there's a white GT3 RS, a yellow GT3, and then my purple GT3 RS, and behind me there's a red Huracan. Well, these two Chargers pass every car and get behind the red Huracan, and both Chargers pulled over the red Huracan. So I'm thinking, you know what? We're good. Let's just go the speed limit. Let's get back to the hotel. We pull off into a subdivision. This is in the middle of Maryville, Tennessee, in the middle of nowhere. We pull off into a subdivision to kind of get off the main road, and it's just me and those two other Porsches. And we kind of slow roll to a stop sign, and another cop passes us. And it was kind of like this awkward, what's going to happen? Like, they're clearly looking for us because you could hear sirens everywhere. We got a call on the walkie-talkie. The red Huracan said they're looking for a purple Porsche. And I'm like, why me? Out of all the cars, why do they have a hit out for a purple Porsche? And they were like, no, they're really actively looking for this Porsche. The cops would not stop talking about it to this red Huracan guy. So we pull off, and in this subdivision, it was a nicer sub for the area. There was also rundown sub kind of behind that had this gravel driveway that shared a bunch of like driveways. And in the middle of the gravel driveway, there's like green grass raised. And you kind of like when a natural trail happens. And it's not super car friendly. It's not low car friendly. I had the front lift on the Porsche, so I could kind of pull down. We're like, let's pull down this kind of alleyway and just like dump the cars or like just chill for a few. I don't know if you played Grand Theft Auto and you have 5 stars. That's kind of what it sounded like. There was cops everywhere. Anyways, the yellow GT3 in front of me was static and lowered, and he couldn't make it. So he pulled off and went to the main road. And as I'm pulling the alley, I see 2 cars block him in, 2 cop cars. And so at this point, I'm like, all right, they're looking for a purple Porsche. This guy just got run up on by 2 cops. Like, I'm screwed. So we get out of the cars. We're like, maybe if we drop him here, they don't know who's driving. We can't get, incriminated, so to speak. So we drop the cars in this alleyway and we start walking down the sidewalk. Keep in mind, we're in Maryville, Tennessee. I'm wearing Yeezys, joggers, and a Porsche t-shirt. Clearly, I'm standing out in this moment. That same cop that passed us earlier in the subdivision rolls past us. And we kind of do this awkward look, and she rolls down the window. She's like, hey, you guys seen a purple Porsche? We're like, nope. But if she went up 2 houses further, she'd see it sitting right there if she looks between the houses. So by this time, she started slow rolling away, and we're walking down the street, and another Charger pulls up, and he gets out, and he starts screaming, who owns the purple Porsche? Who owns the purple Porsche? At this point, I put 2 and 2 together. There was another purple Porsche with us on this rally. Now, keep in mind, there's only 315 ultraviolets in the entire world, or maybe it's just the U.S., but there's only 315. They're limited, right? And what are the odds that 2 of them are on this rally? And I kind of start to put together that they're looking for this other Porsche, not mine. And so he was saying, who owns the purple Porsche? And I was like, you know what? I own one. The second I said that, he threw me around, put me in handcuffs, threw me on the ground, and said, don't say another word. You're going to jail for reckless driving and evading the police. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, you've been running from us all day. I was like, with all due respect, we're with a bunch of cars and we were doing the Dragon, but no one was running from any police officers. And he was like, you're going to jail, sir. Like, don't say another word. He's screaming at me. And so I'm sitting on the sidewalk, and we can throw the picture in. I'm sitting like this, and I have my photographer next to me. And I was like, Tyler, I don't know how to get out of this. Like, my wife's going to kill me. I just bought this car 2 days ago. I've got young kids. I'm not coming home to, I don't know what's going to happen. I was really nervous. Sure enough, all these cops start showing up. The guy wouldn't let me say a word, which I don't even, know if I didn't know my rights at the time. I feel like I had some rights that I didn't extend. That being said, finally this police officer pulls up, gets out of the vehicle, and this was the police officer that was behind the Porsche, and he goes, I heard him talking about the moment. He was like, yeah, I got behind him, turned the lights on, and he just dipped. And so I literally yelled. I was like, what color were his wheels? And he goes, they're black. I was like, I don't have black wheels. Go check my car. And I was like, what color were his taillights? He was like, they're red. And I had clear tails. So I ended up getting out of it. The cops in that moment were very apologetic and were borderline nice at that point. But we knew who the other driver was. Of course, I won't mention his name. And we called him. We're like, dude, you got to get out of here because they are hot for you. So we ended up moseying back to the hotel, getting our stuff, and we're heading back to Nashville. I think I'm done with Maryville, Tennessee for a while. So, and that was on day 2 or day 3 of my RS ownership.
Off the Record can help you fight a speeding ticket or traffic citation no matter where you get it. You just download their app, take a photo of your ticket, and they match you with the best local attorney to achieve the best possible outcome. They can help you avoid costly insurance premium increases, points on your license, and other issues. And when you register, use the code VINwiki for a discount on their services. If you don't have a ticket that you need to fight right now, go ahead and download their app and register using the VINwiki code, and that will reserve your discount for whenever you might need it in the future. It's a great thing to have in your pocket when you never know who's going to pull up behind you on your next road trip.